Welcome back to Revved Up with Thorburn. I'm back with another music video reaction. I know a lot of you guys are wondering, where has all the news and politics coverage gone? It is coming back. I'm reworking. I was putting out 2 to 3 videos a day, and there was a lot of stuff that I wanted to cover, like briefly, but didn't want to do a whole video on. So I'm going to be coming out with an hour-long show that I'm going to be doing 3 days a week. And so I'm working on putting all that together and coming back. But in the meantime, I had a lot of people that had some music video reactions they wanted me to do. And so I wanted to get those out of the way before I get back to the regular Revved Up show, or I guess it's going to be a reformulated Revved Up show where I'll be talking about most of the news and politics and coverage and all of that stuff. But Joanne, one of my people in the audience here, I love you, Joanne. Thank you for sending this request out. She's requested this multiple times, so I wanted to go ahead and get this out. This is Nocturnal Rainbows by AK, and I'm not familiar with AK. I've never heard of his music, so he is a new artist for me, but I am looking forward to seeing what all the hype is about. So without any further ado, this is Nocturnal Rainbows by AK.
Yo, before I get into the song, I just wanted to share with you guys my 100K plaque. This shit looks fucking sick. I added it to the wall. Because of all the support, I decided to drop some merchandise. You can get in the link in the description, teespring.com. You can buy t-shirts, hoodies, whatever you want. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right, that's a fire beat.
Yeah, now people always asking me, yo, when you drop your next track, I tell them pretty soon, or I'll wait a day till I text back, cause I ain't got no time for it. I wanna live my life too, scared when I grab the mic, cause they don't know what I might do. I murder beats without a problem, and people can't believe it. I'm the greatest artist in any way that you perceive it. I don't care about your opinions, I don't care what you believe in. I'm eating beats with sickness, I chew them like I'm sneezing. I share my mind through lyrics, helping all the ones who hear it. Making peace with those who fear it, set you free from bad spirits. Sick of victims being taken, we must begin to pro. That's why I warn you with my music, everyone around the globe. But now we as people have nothing to fear but man itself, and all the psychotic, hypnotic robotics they built and dealt. All we need is better give, and with the foundation of trust, cause if we stay the way we live in, my whole generation's fucked.
That's a good verse right there, and he's talking about how my whole generation is fucked, and that is true. You see that especially with millennials and Gen Z. Millennials were often called the lost generation because we were kind of aimless, and I want to see what more he's going to be talking about as he gets into this. This seems like kind of just an opening verse here. I'm going to see if there's more substance coming into this. But I think he's leading into that with that whole idea that our generation is fucked. And they really are, because we are kind of the first generation that's really had it all, and we don't see, except the one thing we seem to lack now is a purpose, because life has gotten so easy. Everything is on demand. You need something, you just pull up your phone, pull up the Amazon app, boom, and then the next day it's at your door. And the ease of life has really kind of taken a lot of the purpose out, the struggle, the lack of scarcity for the things that we need have left us with everything we need to get by, but nothing we need to give our lives meaning. And I've got a feeling maybe he's going to be getting into something like that. So let's go ahead and continue going through this here.
Say the way we live in, my whole generation's fucked. Everybody nowadays needs a little something, but they don't know what.
Yep.
Everybody's searching, but they can't find nothing. So they quit, but don't remember the clock don't stop running.
Yeah, that's what he's talking about right there. Everybody's searching, but nobody's really knows what they're looking for. Because the struggle to survive is no longer there anymore. The struggle to survive is easy. I mean, we have obesity problems with the homeless people in America. That is how good the quality of life is here. Where even the people that are homeless still have food. They're still fed. And we don't really know what we're doing anymore. You know, we come home, we go and we work for a paycheck, we come home, we turn on the TV, we zone out, we smoke a joint, and then we go to bed. And we're not really attaining anything that feels like it's feeding into our purpose. And so I think that's what he's talking about here when he's saying that everybody's searching for something, but they can't find it. Because we don't really know what our great struggle is anymore.
But don't remember the clock don't stop running. Please, someone help. They hear them scream, but no one helps. They too worried about them themselves, but count on me, I won't fail. Yeah, society's grow one mind, the people hear a stems of it, and when you try to show them this, they're relentless in defending it.
He says people... Oh, let me actually go a little bit further here before I respond.
If I ask a personal question...
Okay, actually, let me run that back.
On me, I won't fail. Yeah, society's grow one mind, the people hear a stems of it, and when you try to show them this, they're relentless in defending it.
Okay, so he's talking about how society has grown one mind, and that actually does tie into it's a hive mind mentality that we've been developing, and it's happened through an amalgam of social media where everything in our lives are so readily available. We post intimate secrets about us, we post all of our thoughts, everything is out there, and then it's open for scrutiny. And so between social media and the cancel culture that is driving us, where I talked about this in another video recently, where I talked about how there used to be a time when you could have kind of unsavory opinions about things, or you had certain quirks about you, certain habits. Maybe you were a drunk, or maybe you had certain ideas about certain people or whatever. And that wasn't the totality. That wasn't the totality of your existence. But because we have this social media where, like I said, they share intimate secrets, but it also doubles as nothing but a highlight reel, so people don't actually get to see the real you. Everybody has this sort of fake tabloid celebrity type presentation of themselves, and it's leading us to this sort of mode of singularity in the human mind and the human condition, where we tap into this hive mind because we post our own highlight reels, but then it's all fueled by, will it get likes, will it get shares, will it get clicks, will it get comments that feed my need for a dopamine rush, for that good feeling. And so we follow the trends. We follow the trends in order to get that. And by just if everybody's chasing these trends, what we end up with is this singularity of consciousness, which is it's so dangerous to have that. It's so dangerous to have a singularity of consciousness, because you have no checks and balances on the direction of the culture, the direction of the society. And I think that's what he's tapping into here. And he also said, if you challenge them on it, they defend it. And that's what's so funny, when you talk about the left today. The left used to be the party of anti-establishment. They were anti-corporate. They were they were the rebels. They were the rabble-rousers. Now, if you look at the left, they're shilling for them. You talk about the leftist cause. You talk about the resistance and the age of Donald Trump, and they're all the same people that agree with all the corporate media, all the major corporations, academia, all the institutions of cultural influence. They now agree with it because they have infested and infiltrated all of these cultural institutions, and now they represent it, and they're never questioned on it. And so when you do try to question them on it, the shield goes up, the defense mechanisms come up, and they cannot see the truth in anything anymore. They can't think for themselves, because everything that they once fought for has now become the establishment, and it's become this hive mind. And they've just tapped into it. It's like being tapped into the Matrix, and they can't pull themselves out of it.
Show them this, they're relentless in defending it. If I ask a personal question, I get the same response from anyone I ask it to, because every mind now corresponds.
Okay, exactly. That's exactly what I was talking about. If you ask a personal question, you get the same response, because what did he say? We're all the minds now correspond, and that's exactly it. It's tapping into that hive mind. It's tapping into the singularity of social consciousness, which never has any checks and balances. One of the things that I'm a big fan of is a thing called the 10th man theory. And I believe the Israeli army uses the 10th man theory, and that's the idea that if you're in a room full of 10 people and the first 9 agree on whatever it is you're talking about, it is the duty and the responsibility of the 10th man to disagree. Even if he actually agrees, it's his responsibility to pose the counter argument. And the way that the singularity, the hive mind, has worked now is that anybody who actually approaches with that counter argument, they're not appreciated for adding a counterbalance to the conversation. Instead, no, it becomes a threat. It becomes a threat to the establishment. It becomes a threat to the power. It becomes a threat to the safety and the security of the ideas that the hive mind is bought into. And if you are actually secure in what you believed in, if you actually thought it was rooted in a deep truth, if you actually thought it was rooted in something soulful, you would not be so vicious against anybody who has something oppositional to say. Yet they are. If you try to counter the narrative, if you try to counter the agenda, if you try to counter anything, you are attacked viciously, as opposed to being appreciated as a counterbalance and an oppositional voice that keeps yourself in check. And that's a very, very dangerous turn to take. When you no longer appreciate any sort of oppositional views, when you no longer appreciate that somebody is out there saying, well, hold on, did you think of this? Because it's very easy when you have that hive mind, one person puts an idea out, and then everybody else just flocks to it, and there's all these other arguments around it, but they just hone in on that one idea, and they all go to that, and they leave all of the other ideas completely unexplored. That is not good for humanity. That is not good for the human condition.
Because every mind now corresponds. People start with self-decisions. This is not what God envisioned. People rather do wrong when they fight for someone else's mission. Doing anything they...
That's interesting. That when you fight for someone else's mission. And that goes back to the whole idea of communism and the idea of useful idiots. And communism is a hive mind mentality. It's a collectivist mentality. It's a collectivist ideology. Which I'm not going to, I could actually go into a very more nuanced breakdown of that right now. I don't think that's necessary. I've done that countless times on my channel already. But actually, hold on, I kind of lost my train of thought there. Let me go back to what he was saying there.
People rather do wrong when they fight for someone else's mission.
Yes, when they fight for someone else's mission. And so that's the collectivist ideology, or the collectivist nature of the left-wing ideology. And how communists would often use what are called useful idiots, and they call them useful idiots. In fact, Vladimir Lenin once said, let's see, what was his exact words? He said, sometimes a scoundrel is of use to us specifically because he is a scoundrel. That means that they have these people that are useful idiots that will do their bidding. And we see that a lot today. And like he was saying, all of the people who defend, when you question them, they all say the same thing. When you question it, they defend it. Those are the useful idiots protecting their ideological overlords, the ones who they're doing the bidding for. And so he's talking about, why are you protecting someone else's mission? That's what's going on. And it comes down to that ideological subversion, the active measures. If you haven't listened to Yuri Bezmenov's talk or G. Edward Griffin's talk, Yuri Bezmenov was from 1984, and it was actually G. Edward Griffin that he was talking to, where he talks about active measures, which is ideological subversion. And 15 years before that, in 1969, G. Edward Griffin, who Yuri Bezmenov was talking to, gave another great speech. I forget what society it was at. It was at some cultural society. And if you haven't watched both of those, you should check those out, and you can understand a little bit more about how this hive mind subversive mentality works. And it gets people to do the bidding. It brainwashes them into doing the bidding of higher powered people. Really, really nasty stuff.
When they fight for someone else's mission, doing anything they can just to fit into the crowd. If your mama knew the real you, do you think she'd be as proud?
Nope.
This is one of many questions I ask myself every day. I should probably ask you more, but you'd be ashamed to stay. But why would you be ashamed? Man, I thought your life was great. People caught you in your lies, and now there's a price to pay.
That's another funny thing. It actually kind of touches on what I was talking about earlier, where he was saying, man, I thought your life was great. And that's because, we use social media as a representation for our lives now, but they're nothing but a highlight reel. The worst wide receiver in NFL history could probably have a 2-minute highlight reel of some excellent catches, but he still had an overall career that sucked. It's the same damn thing with your life. You might have a few moments that you were able to glorify and capture and share to the world and make it look like you're living this life. And so you put out this false image of who you are. You're falsely representing your own life. And then when you call it into question, of course, the walls start crumbling around them, and it becomes very, very difficult for them to deal with.
Lies, and now there's a price to pay. Do you even like your life? It's not trying to hide mistakes, cause when you die, the heat and brightness from hell keeps you wide awake. If paradise is wanted, live right, excite to what's gonna follow. Ask, would you be proud with your life if there wasn't a tomorrow? Everybody nowadays needs a little something, but they don't know what. Everybody's searching, but they can't find nothing. So they quit, but don't remember the clock, don't stop running. Please, someone help. They hear them scream, but no one helps. They too worried about themselves, but count on me, I won't fail. Yeah, I'm just trying to mind my business. greatness. But I also want to make it clear that all the choices made now will make or break you in later years.
Yeah, that's a good point to make, and that was something that I wish I knew when I was a little bit younger. That the choices, he was talking about, the generation being fucked, and this is one thing that you saw with my generation, the millennials, is that our 20s, it often became this accepted idea that our 20s was kind of a lost decade for our generation, and that 30 is the new 20, and that's just how it is. No, that isn't how it is. That was because our culture, the nihilism of our culture, led us to make decisions that did not prepare us for the future. And we, myself included, made tons of mistakes, lived a lifestyle where I wasn't building anything for the future. I was going to work, and then I was going to the bar to meet up with friends and drink, and then just repeat for a decade. And then you look around and you're like, what the hell was that all about? What the hell what did I get from that? Nothing. I built nothing. And then here you are, you find yourself, you're getting older, you're aging, and you realize that now you're playing catch up. And so I think that's an important lesson for people to learn, and something that people should learn earlier so that they don't follow the same mistakes of my generation and my era, and even myself to a degree, where we were not building for the future. We were just living our lives day to day in a very nihilistic present.
Will make or break you in later years. My only message here is to be smart in the way you think in time. Because if you're not, your life can be over in the blink of an eye.
Exactly, your life can be over in a blink of an eye, and that's where you end up. You're an old person. You're an old man or woman. Your past is just nothing but a blur because you were just living it up and having fun, and then you're sitting around like, well, what now? I'm too old for that stuff anymore, but I didn't prepare for anything now. It's a sad state of affairs.
Over in the blink of an eye. Teens be in a rough spot, either fit in or have no friends. They say they'll never do it until it's crunch time, and it all depends on who be asking them to try. Only if they get popular, and if they promise some attention, ain't nobody stopping it.
That peer pressure.
They realize the brain is the body's key component, and they try to alter it because they live too much in the moment. It's sad, but
exactly, he just hit it. They try to alter it because they live too much in the moment, and that is exactly what I was talking about right there. People living too much for the moment. And, we kind of had our culture that, and like movies, music, television, all of that stuff. So, it was that whole idea of live as if it's your last day. No, because it's likely not your last day. Live as if you have a whole life to build in front of you. That is the correct way to do it. But we were sold a lie. We were sold a lie, and we were too caught up in that moment. The whirlwind of the fun and the entertainment, and never really stopping to question the premises, when we should have been stopping to question the premises.
Alter it because they live too much in the moment. It's sad, but in the end it's true. They're the only ones to blame. I have no sympathy for any victims to this vicious game. It's easily avoidable. People risk it, taking chances. These are reasons why I live my whole life in a separate canvas.
Yeah, he's saying I got no sympathy for anybody who made those mistakes. And, I wouldn't go so far as to say I have no sympathy, because as somebody who kind of did fuck off through a lot of their 20s, I can see how easy it is to get caught up in that culture, just not even really realize it. It just doesn't register. It doesn't register. That's why we need a cultural reform. That's why the left has had too much of a grip on the culture for too long, because the left is more nihilistic. It's more purposeless. It's more atheistic. It doesn't reach to it doesn't delve into the deeper meanings of the soul and the human condition. It's very materialistic. And you even, you even see that in the politics of leftism. It's all about the redistribution of wealth, the redistribution of material world aspects. It's not about finding your purpose. It's not about finding your meaning. It's not about understanding that there is more beyond this physical life.
Live my whole life in a separate canvas. Think outside the box a little. Keep your mind expanded. Take advantage of your mind instead of taking it for granted. Everybody nowadays needs a little something, but they don't know what. Everybody's searching, but they can't find nothing. So they quit, but don't remember the clock don't stop running. Please, someone help. They hear them scream, but no one helps. They too worried about themselves, but count on me, I won't fail, yeah.
All right, so that was Nocturnal Rainbows. I guess it was a remix by AK, and very good. That first verse was yeah, it was a cool verse, but it was just kind of a regular rap verse, you know, kind of talking about yourself, this and that. It was the second and third verses though. He really got into the meat of the song. I would have liked it better if he had just started out with that, just gotten into something with meaning. But no, I thought he did a really good job in touching upon certain deeper elements of the human condition that are lost in our culture and in our society. And I think he did a really good job with that. So I'll have to check out more from AK. And Joanne, if you're watching this video, thank you for recommending this one. It was a good one. Anyways, guys, if you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, because we all know it's voices like mine that are first to be taken out back in Old Yeller by the folks at Big Tech. Speaking of Big Tech, if you want to follow me on one of their platforms, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Thorburn. If you're on the alt tech sites, I'm also on Parler, Pill.net, and Minds, also at Thorburn. And in case I do happen to get booted off of YouTube at some point, which is a distinct possibility, I am also on BitChute and Rumble, also at Thorburn. And if you'd like to contribute to the channel, there are links to my Subscribe Star Patreon and PayPal down in the description below. Anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.